If you are trying to get a Prosper personal loan, the very first thing I want you to think about is pre-qualification. Don't do anything without pre-qualifying for a Prosper loan first. So in today's conversation, I'll be talking to you about the application, the approval process, all the pros and cons, all the criteria you want to pay attention to. So here is an overview I want you to look at. See, whenever you consider a Prosper loan, think about pre-qualifying first. And the Prosper will actually ask you a few questions. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes. And all you want to do here is that you are able to pre-qualify for the loan. So you have a clear idea, or not a clear idea, but let's say an approximate idea what you might qualify about what you might qualify for. So Prosper will ask you your social security number. We'll ask you your financial information. So we're talking here about how much you're making, whatever. So if you are making it at least, you have, in terms of your FICO score, if you have at least 595 to 630, you could qualify for a Prosper loan, not a problem, okay? And in terms of annual income, we're talking here about gross income. So if you're making at least $12,000, that would be $1,000 a year, a month when it comes to gross salary, then you can qualify. Because this is really important, okay? So I want you to really estimate your rate and monthly payments in less than 1 minute to 2 minutes. Very, very important that you first try to pre-qualify. So this is not an application and will not affect your credit score. So when we talk about Prosper, we're speaking about a loan that can actually, a lender that could approve you for it. A loan that goes from $2,000 to $50,000. In terms of the repayment window, we're speaking about 2 to 5 years. And so you have a lot of, so overall, we'll love Prosper because they give you relatively low interest rates. And you have next day funding, so they can actually fund you within, so if you apply, let's say you apply by 9 a.m. today or 10 a.m. today, you could be funded by tomorrow noon Eastern. Okay, this is really good. And one thing I want to say also is that you can pay at your own pace because Prosper will work with you to find a repayment window that works with you. And we love the fact that Prosper does not charge any prepayment penalties. This is really a lot of other players do charge from time to time based on your geography. You have Avon doing these things. You have a payoff doing this thing. So, but Prosper, as of right now, does not charge any prepayment penalties. So we like that a lot. I want to talk to you about the steps here. So if you are trying to get a Prosper personal loan, what are the steps you want to take? I mean, obviously, I just spoke about checking your rate. So going through the pre-qualification thing. So this is kind of important. And so once you go through the rate, what will happen here is that Prosper will give you a series of loan options. Okay, they can say, okay, here is option number 1, option number 2, option number 3, and option number 4. The Prosper can give you as many options as possible. That's after the pre-qualification phase. And what happens here is that you will see for each option, you will see the loan amount, you will see the APR they're offering you, you'll see also the repayment window, you'll see the conditions, everything that relates to a personal loan, and you'll have like 3 or 4 or 5 options. So you have to choose. And so if you choose one that really works for you, you get approved and you get your funds. It's very easy. Now, so one thing I want to say here is that you need to tell Prosper what you're going to use the funds for, because Prosper wants to actually document for its own sort of records what it actually lends money for. Like it can be, you can use the cash to consolidate debt. You can use the cash for regular expenses. You can use the cash for medical expenses. A lot of things. Okay. One thing I want to say here is that when it comes to a Prosper loan, especially which is today's topic we're having a conversation about Prosper loan approval hacks and requirements and everything you need to know about. I just want to say that Prosper does charge an origination fee. They do not charge prepayment penalties, but they do charge an origination fee. So that's how they make money. So they charge from 1% to 8%. Okay, so they actually taking the money. They're taking those charges from the money they have approved you for. It's one of those things you have to really be clear of. So, for instance, if you actually apply for a Prosper loan and you get $10,000 and they charge you 8% origination fee, they'll only give you $9,200. So that's $9,200. So that's like 92% because they take their 8% fee. Okay, so don't be surprised if Prosper approves you and they give you an amount that is lower than what you actually qualified for. It's just because they took their cut. Okay, and so Prosper does not. One thing I want to say here is that just make sure that you have a FICO score that oscillates from 575 to 630. But on average, what we have seen in our research for the last few years is that if you have a FICO score that's around 600, Prosper will qualify you, not a problem. Here is the approach I really want you to pay attention to. So if you're sitting there right now, you want to like take actions for real. I mean for real. And getting approved today for a Prosper personal loan. I just want to remind you here that we're speaking about the loan amounts that go from $2,000 all the way to $50,000, $5,000. You have APRs that start at 6.99%, okay, and go all the way to 35.99%. And the thing here is that you actually have to make sure that you have done all your paper, your homework, if you will. You have thought about your FICO score. You have actually checked out annualcreditreport.com. You have made sure that your CUR is kind of low. You have made sure that your DTI is kind of low. Your financial profile is kind of good overall. So when we're speaking about financial profile, we're speaking about three things. We're speaking about your annual income. We're speaking about your expenses, and we're speaking about your net worth. So you're speaking about your cash inflows, your cash outflows, and your net worth. And it's important. Your net worth is basically your total assets minus your total liabilities. This is an element of preeminent importance to Prosper, because Prosper wants to make sure that you will have enough bandwidth, enough monetary bandwidth, enough budgetary bandwidth to repay whatever loan you are actually trying to qualify for. Okay, and so again, I want to insist on the fact that with a Prosper loan, you can do a lot of things. You can use the cash to consolidate debt to lower your monthly payments. You can finish a home improvement project. You can pay off medical debt. You can buy a car. You can take a vacation. You can apply for a fast, easy personal loan. And the cool thing here is that what we have seen in our research is that Prosper is really trying to make sure that you get the cash that you need no matter what. So they'll try to work with you to get you the cash real fast. Just make sure you have your paperwork ready, right? So just make sure also that you have your tax return ready for the last 3 years. Sometimes they will ask for employment, proof of employment. And if you happen to have that question, just show them you can actually have a letter from your employer. So just get a letter from HR in your company showing that you work here, that you work at this company for how many months or how many years. So you just have to prove that. In some cases, Prosper might want to call your employer to make sure that you indeed work where you say you work. I want to give you a winner here. Here is a winner strategy. If you are trying to get a Prosper loan, it's important to understand that what we love about Prosper is that we love the fact that Prosper is a peer-to-peer personal loan. So basically, when you get your loan through Prosper, it's basically other individuals like you and me who are funding your personal loan. That's why Prosper is able to provide loans at such at such relatively low prices, okay, low APRs. So what happens here is that you are able to get personal loans from traditional investors, but also a unique group of regular people like you and me. Like I said, people are investing in you, okay? And which means what? It means that you just make sure that your story is clean. They make sure that you have all the paperwork ready. And one thing I want to say here is that sometimes it's just better to call Prosper first. Call Prosper and ask questions. Ask them, hey, listen, based on my profile, based on my FICO score, based on my annual income, based on let's say my situation where I live and all that kind of stuff, could I qualify for a personal loan? If yes, at approximately what APR? It's always good to ask questions so that you have a clear idea what you could qualify for. Okay, I want to remind you that a personal loan through Prosper is a three-thing thing. It's a three-step thing. It is a trifecta. First, you check your rate. Second, you choose your monthly payments. And third, you get your funds. Very simple. What I want to say here is that as we talk about today's topic, which is basically around Prosper loan approval hacks and tips and tricks and everything, you need to understand that checking your rate is really the quintessential element here. Making sure that you do not apply for it. Like if you want to apply for a Prosper loan, don't just go on the website and start applying right away. Check your rate first. Pre-qualify first. And the thing here is that by pre-qualifying, based on the offer that Prosper gives you, you can say, oh, you know what? There is a gap. There's a delta here. I was expecting better. How come they're giving me something crappy? then this might force you to go back to your FICO to your credit report and see if there was a problem in your FICO report. Like people use the pre-qualification step to actually solve problems, whatever problems there might be in their credit report. I want to talk to you about the fees here. So when we talk about Prosper loan, I want to really mention the fact that people talk about. I think I mentioned the fee before, but now I want to talk to you in depth about the fees. But by the way, if you are ready to apply for a Prosper loan and you are interested in knowing about the fees, you can call Prosper directly at 1-866-615-6319. Again, the number here is 866-615-6319, so they can give you all the info about the fees. So when we talk about fees, you have 4 types of fees that your loan may be subject to. So we have origination fee. I mentioned that before, 1% to 8%. You have check payment fee. You have a late fee, and you have insufficient funds fee. Either way, you don't want to have like those the last 3 fees. I mean, the first one you can't do anything about it because this is actually inherent in the loan. So you get a loan, you are getting a personal loan through Prosper. You are going to pay the origination fee because this is basically how they make money, how the platform makes money. Remember, Prosper is a P2P loan. So Prosper itself is not a direct lender. It's basically, if you will, a middleman between investors and you. And so Prosper has built a platform. It's a fintech company that has built a platform and is basically putting you in contact with investors like you and me, but also institutional investors, including other banks. So those fees, the origination fee, you're not going to bypass that. But the other 3 fees, which are check payment fee, late fee, and insufficient funds fee, those you could really do anything in your power to make sure you avoid them. Which means it means what? It means you trying to have auto pay. Trying to pay your payments on time, and of course, Prosper will be the loan servicing agency, which will make sure that investors are getting their money back. That's definitely fine. But again, you have nothing else to. So there are no other fees. If you were to go for a Prosper loan and people are talking about other fees, tell them they're lying. Okay, Prosper is not charging you any other fee because see that the APR is not going to Prosper. The APR is like a return on investments for investors. The APR that you're paying is the yield. Is the yield that's been paid to the investor. Think about it that way. I want to quickly talk to you about. I want to give you a backup plan here. So let's say you tried everything, right? You went to the site. You tried to get a Prosper loan, and you tried everything, but it didn't work out. Like you basically also tried to you even checked your FICO score, your FICO report. You thought everything was fine, but Prosper still denied your ass. What do? Well, you have a couple of options. So if you don't qualify for a personal loan through Prosper, consider applying with a co-applicant. Maybe your wife, maybe a friend of yours, maybe your grandmother, maybe your grandfather with a better credit score. Maybe those could help, right? So applying with the co-applicants could improve your chances of getting an offer, right? Plus, it might lower your rate. Remember that Prosper will start you at 6.99%. Basically, if you have bad credit, you'll never start around 6.99. And so what will happen here is that just make sure if you want to go with the co-applicant, make sure you choose someone you trust. And the person must have strong credit and a steady job, right? So you want to have somebody who is really, really sure. And so you want to have those 3 elements: trust, strong credit, and steady job. And one thing I want to say here is that Prosper does have a bank as a partner, so the bank will actually process all the loans, and so that bank is WebBank. And so if you have let's say a FICO score that starts at 600, Prosper will qualify you, not a problem at all. So 600 is really, really the minimum, even though Prosper loves you to be around 640 to actually be an interesting sort of investment for them. Again, Prosper is a platform. Prosper works with other investors, and those investors they do have some kind of limits or minimum, if you will, in terms of the yield, the investment yield that they want to generate from those loan investments. And one thing I want to say, also want to say before closing to this conversation here is that your personal loan interest is not tax deductible. It's not, unless you use the loan for business purposes, in which case you might be able to write off your loan interest, but then you have to show the IRS that you also use the money for tax for business purposes, which means that the money hopefully generated some revenue. So you have to actually show that you generate income, but then you can also write off the expenses that is associated with that income generation. Let me give you a few pro tips here. So the thing here is that if you are trying to qualify for a Prosper personal loan, just remember that there are some minimum criteria, and those criteria are normally around your income, your FICO score, but also your employment. So Prosper just wants to have a stable person, right? They want to lend you money, but they want to make sure that you are in a position to actually repay them. So Prosper is going to look at a lot of things. Now, first of all, they don't want to have anybody that has bankruptcy in the last 12 months. So if you have filed for bankruptcy in the last 12 months, you're not going to qualify. And but then after that, they want to make sure that you don't have like any outstanding loan. If you do have outstanding loan, if you have, let's say 2 or 3 or 4 outstanding loan, or even 1 outstanding loan, they will make sure that your DTI, your debt to income ratio, is well below 33%. So if it's not below 33%, what they will do here is that they will either reduce the loan amount that you are asking for, or they might deny you outright. So there are only 2 options here. And one thing I want to say here is that just make sure, if you want to apply for a Prosper personal loan and you currently have a loan, like you currently have an outstanding loan, just make sure that the first loan is current, because they pay attention to that. And they also want to make sure that the aggregate outstanding principal balance if you have one loan and you're asking for another Prosper loan, just make sure the aggregate outstanding principal balance on both loans does not exceed the then current maximum allowable loan amount for loans, currently $50,000. If you have any questions on that, because this could be a little convoluted, please, you want to drop us a comment in the comment section below, and we'll just speak about your specific questions and sort of give you the numbers that really matter. Okay, just make sure that you also pay attention to how, like, if you have other credit cards, because credit cards can have an impact on your FICO score, but also have an impact on your CUR. So if you're trying to get, if Prosper says we want to have people who have 35% CUR, credit utilization ratio, and you have credit cards and you have lines of credit, just make sure that, again, the numbers that you will get in the end, when Prosper does its calculation, that it really finds something around 35%, 33%. That way you know you are still in good terms with Prosper, and that you can qualify for any of those loans. So the bottom line here is that make sure you do your preparation, get your paperwork, and when you go to Prosper loans, when you go to their website, make sure you pre-qualify first. And if you have questions, it's always great to ask questions to make sure that you are getting all the info that you need before making any move. So this is important. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was talking about Prosper loans. I was giving you pros and cons. So I gave you the overview. I gave you steps, the approach you need to follow, a winner. And I spoke about the fees, the backup plan, the pro tips. Thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.